You know that pressure to keep up appearances, right? We've all felt it. But what happens when that feeling pushes someone down a really, really dangerous path? Well, today we're jumping into a classic story about a young man, a new job, and how the obsession with looking wealthy can completely take over. And really, this one line from the text pretty much sums up the entire thing. There's an eternal friendship between appearance and alms. It's a fancy way of saying the more you look like you have, the more you get. It's a simple, powerful idea, and it's the engine that drives this whole story. So let's get into it and meet our main character, Ramanath. The moment he steps into the working world, this huge conflict between what's right and what he wants just ignites right from day one. So Ramanath lands a job that was advertised as paying 30 rupees a month. Not bad, right? But what does he actually get? 20. Just 20. So right out of the gate, there's this gap between what he was promised and what he actually has. And this immediately sets up a major clash with his father. His dad, Dayanath, gives him this very traditional, very noble advice. Work honestly. Don't even think about touching other people's money. But Ramanath, his internal thought is basically, yeah, keep that advice for yourself. That old way of thinking just doesn't work for me. He already has a very different game plan. And that game plan brings us right here to Section 2, crafting an illusion. See, Ramanath has this core belief that to actually make money, you first have to look like you've already got it. It's all about perception. It's about faking it till you make it. And this isn't just a vague idea. Oh no. He has a very clear 3-step plan. First, you gotta dress the part, so he gets a new suit. Second, he refuses to sit on the dirty rug like everyone else and demands the proper tools for the job, a real desk, chairs. And third, he brings order to the chaos by making all the merchants take a number and wait in line. Instantly, he's projecting authority. He looks important. The clerk who's about to retire, he sees all this ambition, and he gives Ramanath some interesting advice about taking dasturi, which are basically customary fees or, let's be real, bribes. Ramanath pretends to be disgusted, but the old guy just laughs and tells him, "It seems dirty now, but you will find pleasure in it later." And you know what? He was absolutely right. Ramanath sees pretty fast that those little fees are nothing. He spots these massive loopholes and how goods are weighed and inspected and thinks, wait a minute, why should I settle for a few pennies when these merchants are walking away with hundreds? So he doesn't just play the game. He completely masters it. And the results? They are immediate. His income absolutely skyrockets. But here's the really smart part. It's not just about the money. He starts sharing it. He buys snacks and drinks for his coworkers, and all of a sudden, he's not just rich, he's the most popular guy in the office. His influence is through the roof. His system is working perfectly. But while his public life is booming, what's happening at home is a whole other story. And that brings us to the emotional core of this whole thing, the silent weight of desire. And this is where we really meet his wife, Julpa, who is the true reason for all of this. So even with all this new money and respect, there's this deep, quiet tension at home. His wife, Julpa, is just profoundly unhappy. And her sadness, well, it becomes the engine for everything he does next. Now, outwardly, Julpa puts on a brave face. She'll tell Ramanath, "I am not one of those women who die for jewelry," acting like she's above all that materialistic stuff. But her actions, they are screaming something completely different. She won't go to any parties. She locks herself in her room for days. And what does Ramanath find her doing? Secretly looking through a jewelry catalog, which she shoves under a pillow the second he walks in. Her words say one thing, but her actions, her silent misery, tell the real story. And all that unspoken longing, it all gets focused onto one specific, symbolic item, the Jada Kangan. It's this gorgeous, gem-studded bracelet, and it becomes the one thing she obsesses over, and the one thing Ramanath feels he absolutely has to get for her. So Ramanath finally sees the designs she's been circling in the catalog, and he is just floored. The price for the 2 bracelets she wants? 1,800 rupees. I mean, that is an astronomical amount of money, something he could never, ever afford, at least not honestly. And that impossible number pushes him even deeper into his schemes. Which brings us to Section 4, the price of corruption. Because now the walls are definitely starting to close in. Ramanath thinks about maybe just buying the jewelry on credit, But his friend, who is also his boss, Ramesh Babu, gives him this really stern warning. He says debt is the greatest sin. He makes it clear that going into debt for a luxury item is just pure foolishness and the fastest way to ruin yourself. At the same time, the pressure is building at home. His father, Dayanath, has been hearing rumors about the bribes, and he confronts Ramanath about it directly. Ramanath, feeling cornered, doesn't just deny it. He absolutely explodes in a fit of defensive anger. So he's getting these completely opposite messages from his parents. His father is taking this hard, principled stand, saying, I don't want a single dishonest penny in my house. But his mother, she's his biggest enabler. She scoffs at her husband's honesty and basically tells Ramanath, look what all that honesty got your father. You're doing the smart thing. So Ramanath is just trapped. He's caught between his wife's quiet desperation and his parents pulling him in opposite directions. He's at a total breaking point. And this brings us to the climax of the story in our final section, a crushing revelation. One morning, as he's about to leave for work, Jalpa hands him 3 letters and asks him to mail them. But on the way, this nagging suspicion just eats at him. And he does something he knows he shouldn't. He opens them. And what he reads just shatters him. In these letters to her friends, Jalpa is pouring her heart out. She writes, life has become a mountain. She says, the promises made to me are all a deception. She knows. She knows he's been lying about the money, lying about getting the jewelry. She's not just sad. She's in absolute despair, feeling completely betrayed. And that's the terrible, terrible irony of it all. The whole corrupt system he built, this grand illusion of wealth, all the lies. He thought he was doing it for her, to make her happy. But in the end, that deception was the very thing causing her misery. It was never about the jewelry. It was about the betrayal. And that leaves us with the huge, central question of this whole story. Ramanath built his entire life, his job, his reputation, his marriage, on a foundation of appearances. But he's just discovered that foundation is nothing but sand. So we have to wonder, when that illusion finally shatters, what's going to be left?